CompTIA Tech Plus Complete Training Course. Exam Objective 4.3 Explain the purpose and use of programming concepts. Objects. You can think of an object in programming as a digital version of something real. It could be a car, a customer, a game character, or even something abstract like a calendar event. An object is a self-contained unit that stores data and the actions it can perform. This makes it much easier to manage complex systems by grouping related information and behaviors together. So why do we use objects in programming? In the real world, systems are made up of many moving parts. If we had to manage every little detail on its own, it would be chaotic and difficult to maintain. Objects solve this by grouping related information and behaviors together, making code easier to understand and manage. Now let's bring this idea to life with an analogy. Picture a 2023 Toyota Corolla. The car itself is the object. It holds specific details, and it can perform certain actions. Just like a car is more than just a collection of parts, a programming object is more than just data. It includes the tools to interact with that data. Before we dive into the technical terms, take a moment to think about how we describe and interact with real-world objects. When you look at a car, you naturally notice things like its color, make, and model. You also know it can perform certain actions, like speeding up or coming to a stop. In programming, we use similar ideas to describe and control objects. So let's begin with what an object knows. These are called attributes. An attribute is a variable that holds data about the state or characteristics of an object. Attributes help define what the object is by storing its current information. For your 2023 Corolla, attributes might include the year, make, model, and color. These facts describe the car and give you a snapshot of its identity at any given moment. Next, let's talk about properties. A property is a tool that lets you safely view or update the attributes stored in an object. It helps protect the data by controlling how it is accessed or changed. Properties act as a bridge between the internal data and the external code that uses the object. They often allow data to be read or changed, but in a safe and structured way. Going back to our 2023 Toyota Corolla, let's say the color is one of its attributes. A property would allow you to safely check or update the color. For example, you might use a property to change the color to silver. This gives you a simple and safe way to interact with the object's data without accessing it directly. As an added layer of control, the property could also include a rule that limits your choices to approved paint options, like silver, blue, black, or red. That way, if someone tries to set the color to something invalid, like invisible, the property would block the change. This helps make sure the attributes of an object stays accurate and consistent with real-world logic. Now let's move on to methods. A method is a function that belongs to an object and defines an action the object can perform. Methods operate on the object's data and allow us to trigger specific behaviors. In our Corolla example, methods might include accelerate, brake, and refuel. Each method defines something the car can do in response to an input or situation. To tie it all together, imagine yourself behind the wheel of that 2023 Corolla. When you press the gas pedal, you're triggering the accelerate method. When you step on the brakes, you're calling the brake method. And when you pull into a gas station and fill up the tank, that's the refuel method in action. You don't need to understand all the internal mechanics. You just perform an action, and the object responds safely, consistently, and intelligently. And that's what makes programming with objects so powerful. They bring structure, simplicity, and real-world logic to the digital world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more great content.